I'm Max Lopez. This is the Blue Wave. As Hurricane Helene disaster victims continue to suffer, that hasn't stopped Donald Trump from continuing to lie and spread misinformation and hoaxes about the availability of disaster relief and what is actually happening on the ground in places like North Carolina. And it's verifiably getting in the way of people receiving aid. So we have a few different things we're going to look at here. We're going to look at an AP article first, then Ted Budd, senator from North Carolina's word salad of a response to a question from a Fox News reporter about the Biden administration's response to the disaster that really makes no sense at all. And then we're going to look at Dana Bash interviewing Laura Trump, and Dana Bash pretty adequately pushing back on Laura Trump's lies in a very contentious, awkward interview. And then what we're going to look at is Charlemagne saying basically the quiet part out loud about what I think a lot of people are thinking when it comes to how the GOP is responding and acting to this disaster. And then we're going to look at a few of Donald Trump's lies that he has told about the response to the Hurricane Helene disaster. So first off here, we have this AP article. It says, after the deluge, the lies, misinformation and hoaxes about Helene cloud recovery effort. The facts emerging from Hurricane Helene's destruction are heart-trending. Businesses and homes destroyed. Whole communities nearly wiped out, hundreds of lives lost, hundreds of people missing. Yet this devastation and despair is not enough for the extremist groups, disinformation agents, hucksters, and politicians who are exploiting the disaster to spread false claims and conspiracy theories about it and the government's response. According to former President Donald Trump, the federal government is intentionally withholding aid to Republican disaster victims. Far-right extremist groups warn on social media that officials plan to bulldoze affected communities and seize the land from residents. A tale straight from science fiction asserts that Washington used weather control technology to steer Helene towards Republican voters in order to tilt the presidential election towards Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. We heard Major Taylor Greene, in fact, spreading that lie. The claims, according to experts and local officials dealing with disaster response, say less about the reality of the widespread damage from Helene than they do about America's fractured politics and the fear and distrust shadowing an election year marked by assassination attempts and escalating global tension. Debunking conspiracy theories takes time away from recovery efforts. As rescue work continues and authorities try to separate fact from fiction, the conspiracy theories are not helping. Elected leaders from both parties have had to set the record straight and urge people not to give into fear and rumor. If everyone could maybe please put aside the hate for a bit and pitch in to help, that would be great, posted Glenn Jacobs, the retired professional wrestler known as Kane, who's now the Republican mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Jacobs' post was intended to rebut rumors that workers from the Federal Emergency Management Agency were seizing relief supplies from private citizens. So we have people on both sides of the aisle, and Republicans, in fact, like this Republican mayor, begging people to stop spreading lies and stop spreading conspiracies because it's hurting the recovery effort. This is bad. This is, is there anything that the right won't politicize for their gain? I don't think so. I think this is proving that. So now what we're going to look at is Ted Budd pushing claims that are very similar to what Donald Trump has made.
Let's bring in Senator Ted Budd. You represent this state. You're a straight shooter. What's been the response like? Why are residents feeling a little frustrated right now with the response from FEMA?
Yeah, look, they're here, but it's been very slow. A lot of bureaucratic hand-wringing and a lot of misplaced allocations. You know, whether it's money, $1 billion that's been allocated for illegals that's not coming here to Western North Carolina or the other states. We realize this is a multi-state region. I think this is probably the worst hit area. So it's misallocated time, misallocated dollars, and a lot of bureaucratic hand-wringing. But it's here, it's coming, and we want to be thankful for those that are on the ground, for FEMA. I believe their heart's in the right place. But again, the bureaucracy, it's thick, it's obtuse, it's slow. But again, it's here, it's getting better. Finally, after some decisions from the Biden White House, and let's remember, they had a make-ready order for the 18th Airborne Corps, 82nd, 101st, a lot of them out of Fort Liberty, known as Fort Bragg, used to be known as Fort Bragg. They're now here, but it took so long, and they were on the balls with their feet, ready to come.
What took so long for, I mean, Bragg has the best of the best.
Yeah.
The forecasters predicted that it was going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
What took them long to get here?
Look, I think it's a lot of fighting over who's in charge, and we just need decisions. We need decisions from the White House, decisions from the governor, and they were ready. But again, the National Guard's here. We're grateful for all of it, but just a lot of people competing for who's in charge. Now they're here. We had to put a lot of pressure on with my colleague in the Senate, Senator Tom Tillis. So we're all in this together. Again, let's look forward and let's do what we can to get places like this back on its feet. It's not.
So if you're having a little bit of trouble following along with Ted Budd's word salad of a response there, don't worry, because I am too. He's saying FEMA's here and the relief's here, but still trying to blame the Biden administration somehow for not getting enough relief there, saying that there's people competing to be at the top and now they're here, and bureaucracy is now here in North Carolina, while simultaneously admitting that he has all the help he needs and that it's there. And another thing is that, you know, the relief to North Carolina has been very, very actually, people weren't expecting North Carolina to get hit as hard as it did, right? So the amount of relief that already has gotten there is a testament to how fast the Biden and Harris administration acted in response to this disaster and activated FEMA and activated emergency funds to get to the places that have been hit hardest. But if people don't think they can get help, if people don't think there's any help available for them, they're not even going to bother going out and looking for it or asking for it. And that's one of the most insidious things about the lies that are being told about the GOP when it comes to the response to Hurricane Helene. So now we'll look at Charlemagne calling out the misinformation that's been spread around this disaster.
Good morning. Happy Monday, y'all. So we are on hurricane watch again. Hurricane Milton is quickly increasing as it moved towards Florida. Milton is expected to hit Florida as a major hurricane, Category 3 or higher. Now, FEMA's administrator says the agency is ready for the tropical storm that's expected to slam Florida as a hurricane this week. Deanne Criswell from ABC's This Week told ABC's This Week, FEMA is funneling resources into the state and coordinating with local officials. Criswell also pushed back against rumors circulating on social media and from the Republican administration that the agency is underfunded because resources are going to assist undocumented immigrants. Now, she insisted these rumors are not true and aren't helpful to recovery efforts from that of Hurricane Helene. Now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he is advising those in the storm's path to evacuate, cautioning that time is running out to prepare. He also declared a state of emergency in 15 counties in preparation for that storm's landing. Now, Vice President Harris, she was in North Carolina over the weekend surveying the damage left by Hurricane Helene. She spoke to local officials before being briefed about the ongoing recovery efforts across the state. Let's hear from Vice President Kamala Harris.
That's an ad. Sorry, guys.
The work that's happening here that is so positively impacting so many people is really an example of the best we can do when we bring resources together at the federal, state, and local level. And so I thank everyone for all the work that they've been doing, those who are in the room and those who are out there right now working around the clock.
You know, it's actually nuts that at a time like this, FEMA has to, take the time to debunk lies created by the GOP. Like, I know it's election season, but everything can't be politicized. Like, this is a natural disaster. People are dead. People are hurt. People are injured. People need help. It don't matter if they Democrat. It don't matter if they Republican. Just figure out how to help them. Like, I don't like when they use that, and politicize it and weaponize it, just to get at their political opponents. That's whack.
Yeah, great point there. Great point there by Charlemagne. People are hurting right now. People need help. And the lies and misinformation that are being spread by the GOP, by MAGA, again, are getting directly in the way of people receiving help for this absolute tragedy of a disaster that has occurred. So next we'll look at Dana Bash interviewing Laura Trump in an interview where Dana Bash pushes back on Laura Trump quite a bit, but it really begs the question of why CNN even engages in these kinds of interviews, if you ask me. But yeah, let's go ahead and watch this clip here.
Laura, I want to ask you about something that the former president said last night on that stage, specifically about Hurricane Helene in your home state of North Carolina. He said that FEMA is only offering $750 to Americans who have had their homes destroyed. That's not true. He's also echoing conspiracy theorists online who falsely claim that the administration is redirecting disaster money for undocumented immigrants. That's also not true. Why is he spreading misinformation in a crisis like that? And does that concern you about your fellow North Carolinians and how and whether they could actually get help?
I'm incredibly concerned in North Carolina. I hear every day from people on the ground there, and they are desperate for help. It is a dire situation there. I actually think we don't even know the extent yet of truly how bad it is there. And look, Kamala Harris did come out and say it's $750 per family right now. The idea that we've spent $650 million in fiscal year 24 on the migrant crisis that Kamala Harris was responsible for stopping, and by all accounts, she created by having an open door policy at our southern border,
but
is
Laura,
infuriating.
Laura, let me just stop you right there.
Of this country.
Let me just stop you right there, because I just want to not let this get out there. You are right that FEMA is giving $750, but that is a first step. It's for immediate needs. It's called the serious needs assistance.
Dana, and said that they are out of money in terms of their hurricane relief. We have another hurricane heading towards Florida right now.
What they have said is that there is money
right now. Why don't they have anything in order? Why is it that right now the citizens in Western North Carolina are screaming for help, and it's having to come from local citizens? People from my hometown of Wilmington are driving across the state 6 hours to go to the mountains and help people.
It is bad.
Where is our federal government? Why are they out of money?
It is bad there, but my question is about the misinformation, particularly the notion that they are moving money to migrants, undocumented migrants, which FEMA says flatly is not true. And if people are not getting correct information, then they can't go for assistance as they have been asked for. I just want to quickly play with Senator Tom Tillis.
Let me just say for 1 second.
Go ahead.
You have migrants being housed in luxury hotels in New York City. We have paid so much money from our tax dollars into the crisis that didn't need to happen. We could redirect money to help people immediately on the ground in North Carolina, or in Florida, where we're probably going to have a situation coming up in the next several days.
That's a separate tranche of money. That's a separate tranche of money. I want you to listen to.
I want you to. This migrant crisis hasn't been a disaster for every American. It is a big problem,
but
and
that has nothing to do with the people in your home state right now. I want you to listen to what the Republican senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis, said about the rescue and recovery efforts.
If you're happy and
sorry guys, another ad. Just 1 second.
I'm actually impressed with how much attention was paid to a region that wasn't likely to have experienced the impact that they did. For anybody who thinks that any level of government, anybody here, could have been prepared precisely for what we're dealing with here clearly are clueless. But right now, I'm out here to say that we're doing a good job.
So he and others are saying, please, to the former president and to others, stop spreading misinformation because it's hurting people in North Carolina.
I'm so glad to hear that he feels that way, but it's coming directly from people there. You can go online and you can look at videos of people recording themselves and posting online saying, we need help. No one has come here. We have nothing. And no one has even addressed the situation in my neighborhood or my area. So I'm glad to hear that he feels very good about that. And I hope that we hear more of that. I want them to recover there as soon as possible. And it's tragic, the loss of life that we've already seen. I think that number, sadly, is going to continue to go higher. And it's a tragedy all around.
So you saw it there, Dana Bash pushing back on the lie that residents are only getting $750 when that is in fact immediate emergency assistance fund that is available for people to get things like pet food and baby formula and things that are immediately needed, medications, right? So people don't literally die. That is not all that is available. And, you know, Dana Bash does a good job here, but it really begs the question, why have Laura Trump on CNN at all? Why invite her on at all, right? And it's really just more evidence of CNN in particular falling victim to, you know, wanting to play both sides and appear fair to the right and the left at the same time. But what it leads to is very awkward interviews like this where Dana Bash just gets utterly just disrespected by the guest and is talked over. And, you know, generally this isn't really that great of a look for CNN because all they're doing is just platforming Laura Trump to spread misinformation, and ultimately that's what they're trying to not do, right? But it's just kind of strange, a strange decision to have her on at all when you know exactly what she's going to say. But you heard it there, Tom Tillis pushing back, saying that if people think that there could have been a 100% accurate prediction of how much aid was going to be needed or which areas are going to be hit the hardest by this hurricane, it's impossible to know something like that. And the aid is in fact getting there on time, but people don't know it's there necessarily or aren't asking for it because they're falling victim to misinformation and lies that keep coming out from the GOP on this topic. So last but not least, we're going to look at an article here, just fact checking some of Trump's Hurricane Helene misinformation and lies. So on Monday, September 30th, Trump falsely claimed Biden hasn't answered calls from Georgia's governor. During a visit to Georgia on Monday, Trump said of Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, he's been calling the president. He hasn't been able to get to him. It was immediately clear that Trump's claim was false. Kemp, a Republican, told reporters earlier Monday that he had spoken with Biden the day prior, and it was Kemp who had initially missed a call from Biden, not the other way around. Monday, September 30th, Trump cites baseless reports about anti-Republican bias in the North Carolina response. Trump said, I'll be there shortly, but don't like the reports that I'm getting about federal government and the Democrat governor of the state going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas. Again, I did a video about how really that's just Trump projecting things that he's done in the past because we know that he withheld political aid, he withheld disaster aid, from California wildfire disaster victims in 2018, based on California being a Democrat-leaning state. And then we also know how he responded to the COVID-19 pandemic when it was ravaging blue cities in the early days, and that kind of led him to not acting as fast as he possibly would have. Last Thursday, Trump falsely claims the Biden-Harris response had received universally negative reviews. Trump wrote in a social media post on Thursday that Biden and Harris are universally being given poor grades for the way that they're handling the hurricane, especially in North Carolina. That wasn't even close to accurate, this article says. Thursday, Trump falsely claims Harris spent all her FEMA money on housing illegal migrants. We heard this misinformation spread by Ted Budd in the clip shown earlier, where he was saying that it was either him or Laura Trump. They might have both been saying it, honestly, that we're housing illegal immigrants in luxury hotels in New York City, which is just total crap. So at a campaign rally in Michigan on Thursday, Trump claimed that Kamala spent all her FEMA money, billions of dollars, on housing for illegal migrants, many of whom should not be in our country. He added an election-related conspiracy saying they stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants that they want to have vote for them in this season. This is false, it says. Friday, Trump falsely claims $1 billion was stolen from FEMA for migrants and has gone missing. Saturday, Trump falsely claims the federal government is only giving $750 to people who lost their homes. We just went into that. Trump falsely claims there are no helicopters, no rescue in North Carolina. And that's not even the full extent of all of the lies that he has continued to tell. So let's cut this out. Okay, let's cut this out. If we want to come together and help people, let's do that, right? Let's have this be a moment where we as people on the left and right can put aside our political differences, not politicize this disaster, and use our resources to help people instead of posting dubious claims that have no basis in reality, no basis in truth, no basis in fact, and are being debunked by people on both sides of the aisle, not just the left. Let's put those claims aside and work for a solution for the people that have been stricken by this terrible disaster, because as was said multiple times in this video, this misinformation and the lies that are being spread is not helping people. It's in fact getting in the way of people getting help. So it's having the opposite effect, right, of helping people. And I think that should be what, in a situation like this, we should be looking to help people out as much as we can, whether or not they're Republican, whether or not they're Democrat. You should be able to receive aid from your country when natural disasters strike, and Donald Trump's and MAGA's misinformation is getting in the way of that. So let's cut it out. That's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the videos. Subscribe to the channel, share with someone who's into politics. It helps YouTube take my channel more seriously, spread the word to more and more people. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, have a good one. Peace.